Hi, this is Scott with Dub's Garage, and we dropped by. He's working on a Volkswagen Jetta that came in because it was making a noise. Scott, tell us about that.
Well, this car came in today. It was making a noise, and during our inspection found the brakes to be grinding, which is a sure indication that there's a problem in the brakes. What we do when we do that is we want to look at it and find out what's going on or what's happening. In this case, the brake pads have worn down to past the minimum where it's grinding. And the end result, you hear the noise, which is typically what happens as a person's trying to notice is first either a noise or a problem with their brake pedal. Anything else is kind of out the window. This one here actually tore the rotor up, so we replaced the pads and the rotors on here. As you're driving and you're going to look for these problems, you want to notice any grinding noise that you may hear, or like I said, the pedal. Sometimes you notice the pedal's not as high as it should be. It takes a little bit longer to stop than it should. Maybe the pedal starts to fade while you're stopped. That's the indications that you're having a brake issue. A new brake pad typically is in that neighborhood of 12 to 14 30-seconds thick, whereas the ones we pulled off here, this is an indication in the grinding noise of where it came from.
The brake pad was completely gone.
It was completely gone. And it actually got into the rotor and scored the rotor to the point that it was no longer serviceable.
Oh man, I bet it was making a noise.
It was making a noise, and fortunately she heard it before it became a real issue, because as things happen, you could lose more braking power as it goes on like that.
Okay, so Scott, tell us just simply, what do we need to do to watch out for our brakes, take care of our brakes, and get the car in a timely manner?
Typically on brakes, what we want to do is see if we notice a lot of dust on the wheels. That's an indication that your brakes are starting to wear. You know, better brake pads don't have as much dust, but that is always a sign that your brakes are starting to wear a little bit. Typically in the 40,000 mile range, you want to really start looking in Corpus traffic and stuff. If you lived in a place like Houston, of course, where you're on the brakes all the time, it's going to wear out a little faster. But usually around the 35, 40,000 mile range is a good time to start having the brakes looked at and checked, and just periodic maintenance. They can go a lot longer depending on your driving styles. If you don't come to a sudden abrupt stops or tailgate where you're on the brakes all the time, they're going to last a lot longer. I've seen them go 100,000 miles, but typically in the 40,000 mile range is when it's time to start looking for them.
And now, checking the brakes is something y'all do as part of the service inspection, right?
Every car that comes in, we take a look at the brakes. We don't necessarily get in and measure everything, but we do look at the pads and let you know the condition of the pads and what's going on. Make sure the fluid's good. That's one of the things one of the maintenances that most people overlook is changing the brake fluid. It's like your oil. It gets dirty and collects moisture and needs to be changed periodically.
Okay, this is awesome information. Scott with Dub's Garage. Thanks, folks.